Patty's Day. It's a year ago today that we at CBOT closed our offices. And so, in my reflections this morning, I thought on St. Patty's Day, how lucky are we that we're all here together today? So, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for everything you've done in this past year through the pandemic. I know it has not been easy for anybody, um, and we've all struggled in our own ways. So just remember that we're a team and we're here together. So I just want to take a moment today and say today we've got Regional Chair John Henry with us. Always a pleasure. John's always here to provide a great snapshot of what's going on at the region and how Clarington fits into that the goals and plans beyond to make Durham one of the most prosperous places in the world. Let's say, let's go there, John. Let's go world. Okay. So I'd like to also recognize Mayor Foster for joining us this morning, Councillor Margs Wart, Councillor Ron Hooper, and MPP Lindsay Park. So thank you everybody for taking time out of your busy times and joining us. Before we start, if I can just make sure that everybody turns your microphones off so that we don't hear chatter and papers rustling in the background. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We did receive a couple of questions in advance, Chair Henry. So once you've had your time, we will ask you a couple of questions with your permission, and we'll keep going. So just a quick introduction. I think everybody on the call knows Chair Henry well. He's well known and visual and active in the community. So we appreciate all you do for Clarington. Born and raised in Oshawa and a dedicated volunteer, Chair Henry has a vested interest in the future development, prosperity, and quality of life in Durham for Durham residents, while keeping a close eye on fiscal responsibility. Now in the third year of his term as regional chair, he previously served as the mayor of Oshawa from 2010 to 2018 and regional councillor for Oshawa's Ward 5 from 2006 to 2010. Without any further ado, welcome Chair Henry.
Well, good morning everyone and happy St. Patrick's Day. And I am excited to be here with you today, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring you an update from the region. And it's great to be here with Mayor Foster and his council and Lindsay Parks, our MPP. And I want to thank the Clarington Board of Trade for all that you do for the business community and the great work that you've done, especially over the last year with the challenges that we've all lived through. It's been an exciting month for us here at the region as we began our public vaccine clinics with one of the first clinics in Durham to open in Clarington at the Garnet B. Rickard Recreation Complex in Bowmanville. Our vaccine clinics truly signify the beginning of the end to the pandemic. We've all been dealing with this terrible issue for an entire year now. And while we aren't out of the woods yet, we're getting closer each and every day. We've been planning for recovery for some time and implementing as many supports as we can for local businesses throughout the past year. Initiatives like the Ritual One free food ordering service, digital Main Street program, and the Downtowns of Durham website. Speaking of which, I'm pleased to share that the Downtowns of Durham project was recently awarded the Marketing Canada Award in Recovery Project Planning category from the Economic Developers Association of Canada, referred to as EDAC. Nothing has inspired me more over the past year than the grit and passion of our small local businesses. They have pivoted, they've adapted, and they've shown how they are the true heart and soul of our community. Now more than ever, it's important to shop local. Did you know that for every $100 spent locally, $70 is reinvested back into our local economy? Further, 75% of all new jobs being created in Canada were in the small business sector. And that's why earlier this year, we launched Shop at Durham Region online marketplace. At shopdurhamregion.com, shoppers can buy locally made goods from Durham Region businesses offering contactless pickup. By centralizing the shopping experience with one easy to browse website, people are exposed to new local products and buy products from various local businesses in one transaction. New products are added every day and new vendors as well. If you're a local business or know someone who is interested in listing their goods on Shop Durham Region, be sure to check it out. It's completely free. And at the region over the past year, we've remained committed to keeping key services and projects moving forward. Here in Clarington, one of our top priorities is keeping the Lakeshore Go East extension on track. The Bowmanville Go rail service extension is crucial not only to reducing highway congestion and helping us achieve our climate change goals, but also rebuilding public transit ridership post-pandemic. And of course, the economic impact will be incredible. We estimate that this project will stimulate 21,000 new jobs, 6,000 new homes, and 1.1 billion in transit-oriented urban development. Planning for and supporting transit-oriented development is so important for the region that we recently created a new transit-oriented development office to support the implementation of rapid transit projects across Durham. We continue to urge the provincial government to commit to Bowmanville Go rail service extension and the creation of 4 additional transit stations on an expedited timeline. And we are continuing to promote Durham Region as a good place to invest and continue to focus on job creation. A great success story of this coming to fruition is the recent opening of the Toyota Canada Eastern Canada Parts Distribution Center on Lambs Road. This 35,000 square foot facility is a solid investment in our region. Toyota has recognized that Durham Region is the best place to live, work, grow, and invest, and in Sheila's words, in all of Canada. One of my top priorities is to ensure that Durham Region is the best place to live for everyone, no matter their gender or race. The region recently appointed Allison Hector Alexander to lead our new Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And tomorrow evening, I will be joining Allison, our CAO, Elaine Baxter-Taher, along with guest panelists to host a public town hall on anti-Black racism. It's a chance for an open dialogue, allowing us to better understand one another and create an anti-racist environment moving forward. Because no form of racism is acceptable, I hope you will join the conversation. Again, that's tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Find out more details by visiting durham.ca/make-the-connection. As a corporation, the region strives to be an innovative, sustainable, future-oriented organization. And late in February, Regional Council approved a budget that keeps those priorities in mind while balancing affordability for our taxpayers. Our 2021 budget was approved at almost $1.5 billion. This represents a net property tax increase of 1.98%, or approximately $55 for the average home. On top of continuing to deliver excellent services to our residents and businesses in Durham, from roads, from roads and water to long-term care, we have also invested in many strategic priorities that will ensure Durham continues to grow and prosper. Our budget underlines the region's commitment to land use planning, creating more green space, and supporting our rural communities. Investments in climate and environmental sustainability include the development and implementation of a corporate climate change master plan and the launch of an innovative Durham home energy savings program to help homeowners reduce energy costs and greenhouse gas emissions. And a top priority continues to be connecting our region with broadband infrastructure. All levels of government have a role to play in significantly improving broadband access in Durham. Now more than ever, we understand the importance of being and staying connected. Recently, we submitted an application for funding from the province of Ontario and the federal government for the phased implementation of a broadband network in Durham Region. We're working in partnership with the Oshawa Public Utilities Corporation on this transformative project. It will serve our rural and underserved communities, leveraging the existing fiber infrastructure of the region and OPUC to extend broadband access across Durham. It's through these continued investments that we will be able to bring our vision of connecting our entire region with fast and reliable broadband to life. We also budgeted to provide funding for the Grandview Children's Center, Durham College, Trent University, Durham, for their capital building projects under the region's Community Investment Grant Program. And I'm excited and thrilled to share that we committed $37.5 million to the Bowmanville Hospital redevelopment. Lakeridge Health and Bowmanville Hospital are an integral community partners in Durham Region, and the work they do to ensure the health and safety of our community is crucial. Look no further than this past year and you will understand just how important our healthcare partners are. That is why it's our distinct pleasure to help fund this vital redevelopment, ensuring that Clarington and Bowmanville communities continue to receive access to high quality healthcare services well into the future. With this funding, Bowmanville Hospital is one step closer to breaking ground on a much anticipated redevelopment project. Once completed, the Bowmanville Hospital will feature a large emergency department, expanded inpatient units, state-of-the-art diagnostic imaging services, among other services. All the priorities I've outlined above underline our desire to capitalize on Durham's legacy as builders and economic drivers going forward. Our new economy will be one that features autonomous and electric vehicles, nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, and personalized medicine. Here in Clarington, I'm also pleased that OPG has resumed planning activities for new small modular reactors, referred to as SMR, development at Darlington and nuclear generation. Small SMRs, like the traditional nuclear reactors, are designed to provide safe, reliable, carbon-free electricity, but with a much smaller land footprint than the current reactors. They also offer low capital costs and faster deployment. OPG is leading the way in advancement of SMR's technology, and Durham Region is excited by the economic opportunity of being one of the first sites globally for this emerging industrial sector. For Durham, this development will help drive the innovation and stimulate new businesses throughout our region. We look forward to working with OPG to achieve the community benefits associated with small modular reactors development. Durham Region is the clean energy capital of Canada, producing about 30% of Ontario's electricity and is a recognized energy cluster with 2 nuclear generation stations. We have a unique nuclear post-secondary degree program and a highly specialized workforce. With the potential of Durham to host the first grid-connected SMR and the future home to a world-leading cluster of SMR technology companies, Durham and Ontario will become the clean energy capital of the world. Durham Region has already taken important steps to accelerate the transition towards a low carbon climate resilient community. The development complements the shift to low carbon economy and achievement of GHG emissions targets and will provide carbon-free affordability, reliability, and safe energy. It's an exciting opportunity and highlights the economic potential of nuclear across the country. Today, as we look forward, we know that COVID-19 will continue to impact us for the foreseeable future. So every decision we make will require a COVID lens. But as you know, our priorities haven't changed. Their importance has only been amplified. Priorities such as the importance of environmental sustainability in agriculture, social housing, and supporting our local businesses to foster and continue economic success for our great region. Our Durham Economic Task Force is providing direct one-on-one support to help businesses find the resources they need. We're supporting local businesses and resuming operations to get our economic engine back up and running. And we are constantly looking at opportunities for partnerships and continued investment and funding from partners such as the province and the federal government. We are promoting the current and new post-secondary program to upskill and retain the current workforce to ensure a more adaptable and resilient economy. And with everything I've mentioned here today, it's clear that Durham Region has built a well-deserved reputation as an innovative community. We are known for our ability to adapt and solve big problems. We will continue to showcase these strengths long after the crisis is over, while we continue to grow and be the greatest region in Canada. I'd like to close by saying thank you. I want everyone here to know that the region understands the importance of the work you do in supporting and fueling in our economy. And not only do we understand it, we appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for listening. And I'd be pleased to take any questions. But I'd also, before I take any questions, I really want to take the time to thank Mayor Foster for his efforts around the funding that the region has put forward for the hospital in Bowmanville, and continue to thank Lindsay Park, our MPP for Durham, for her support on the Go East expansion. I can tell you that during this crisis, we have not closed our planning department at the region, and every application that has come through our door has been worked on, including continuing to work in partnership with Metrolinx, the City of Oshawa, the Municipality of Clarington, to make sure that we get the train out to Clarington as soon as possible. And with that, Sheila, I'm prepared to take any questions. And if they're really complicated, I will ask Mayor Foster to answer them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thank you, Chair Henry. A lot, you can see how busy Clarington is just by how many different components were packed into that quick conversation. So before I get to the questions, I just want to maybe summarize a couple of things, right? That this community, whether we're talking Clarington or we're talking Durham Region, is built on partnership and collaboration. And you did a great job sharing with us the importance of post-secondary and hospital public infrastructure, how important big and small business is, that we need shoppers and we need sellers, and that we need innovators and we need traditionalists. So we're all in this together. And in order for us to achieve and move the bar forward on some of the projects that Chair Henry talked about today, it's going to take all of us. So thank you. I will thank you again later, but I just wanted to make sure I got that in before we ran out of time. So our first question, Chair Henry, is what would be the plan? What is Durham's plan to go back to orange or better, and when?
Well, I would like to say that we would have control over that, but it's the province that makes the decision what color you're in. So while our numbers are getting better, if you go to the global COVID-19 update site, you'll also see that our numbers are rising again. So hopefully we continue to where we are and we stay in the 50 or less. But there is concern here through our medical officer health and through my conversations with some of the doctors at Lake Ridge Health around the new variants related to COVID. So we'll continue to be in red until the province tells us we can go to orange. But in the meantime, if we continue to work together like we have, we follow the rules that have been put out by our medical officer of health, we continue to make sure that we wear our masks and follow the direction that is given, we will get closer to getting to orange. But it's still going to take a group effort. And of course, the province makes that decision. We have this conversation with them continually. We meet as the mayors and chairs of the large areas around the GTHA every Monday with Mayor Tory to have this very conversation about trying to advance and move along and making sure the province is listening to us. But there is concern out there now, and you can see it in the number of variants and really what's happening around the world that still leads to being concerned. So continue to work together as a group, do what you've been doing, and we'll get to orange sooner than later.
Great. And maybe a follow-up question to that, Chair Henry, is, and I know this is probably more your health department's bailiwick, but in regards to vaccines, I know that vaccine sites are popping up in all of the communities. So is there any estimation when Durham can expect to have some level of herd immunity on the vaccine front?
Well, Sheila, that's a great question. The challenge is getting enough vaccines. So we were going to have, as of the 16th of this month, so as of yesterday, we would have had sites opened in all 8 municipalities, providing that we had enough vaccines in stock. It is a challenge because it is dependent on that. So on Saturday, we received 4,100 more vaccines. It would happen to be the Moderna. That stock allowed us to open the site in Whippy. But still, the challenge is for us is getting enough of the vaccines to continue to open. So we're ready to go. If we had enough vaccines, we're able to do 10,000 a day with all 8 sites open. So once we get them, we're ready to go. Of course, we have a facility at Garnet B Record that's opened, and we've got sites along the Lakeshore community that are all busy. Lake Ridge Health has their site at Durham College, but really it's dependent on the flow of vaccines, and that's a challenge because the federal government sends the vaccines to the province and the province sends them to us, and they simply haven't been getting enough at the province to send them to us. So that is the real challenge.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, thank you. Healthcare seems to be the topic today. So I've got a question here about the new hospital site. Is there anything you can share with us on an expected location or timing for that new hospital?
So that is an interesting and it's actually a great question. So I'm not able to share that. The process with Lake Ridge Health is that they will have to, they will reach out to look for communities that want to be part of this, that they'll have to put together an application or a presentation and present it to Lake Ridge Health. I have heard from the mayor, Mayor Ryan is in Pickering. I've heard from Mayor Mitchell. I've heard from Mayor Carter that they're all interested in putting that presentation together. We know that it's going to take at least 65 acres. So we know that it'll have to, there's only a few sites in all the region that have that capability of that land. And most of them are along the 407 corridor someplace. So we have no idea, but the region needs to be, in order to get the funding we have to be a partner in healthcare. And going forward, it's not the $35 million investment in Clarington, but we'll be expected to invest not only in the new hospital, wherever it will be built, but also in the refurbing of Ajax Hospital, the building of the new hospital, continuing to support Clarington and Oshawa and Port Perry. And of course, we have a hospital in Uxbridge that's not part of Lake Ridge Health. So in the next 10 to 15 years, the investment in healthcare in Durham Region will be somewhere close to $4 billion. And we are currently working through a way to make sure that the region can support the construction of and the needs of those hospitals. Mayor Foster is keenly aware of it as the chair of finance at the region. So we're working on that plan right now so we can make sure that as our community doubles in population, that we have the healthcare necessary to meet those needs, and also the best way to invest in healthcare without putting a burden onto the ratepayer.
I hope that answers the question that came our way. I know it's tricky when we're dealing with these future plans to what we can share and what we can't share, and getting our crystal balls out, because really that's where we are. So we have another question here. Why does Durham have 0 AstraZeneca while the 2 biggest areas closest to us have tons?
So we get what the government sends to us, and that's the challenge. There again, I said earlier, the vaccines come from the federal government, the province distributes them, and we get what we get and the volume that we get. You know, we've raised the issue as many times as we could. When we opened last week, when Garnet B. Rickards opened up, and with Pickering opening up last Tuesday, we only had 1,700 vaccines in inventory. So the challenge for us is, you know, we'd be happy to get whatever we could get of whatever kind, and we're prepared to, within Dr. Kyle and our partnerships in the communities, we can do up to 10,000 a day. So when we get them, we will get them into the arms of the residents of Durham Region.
Yeah, it's such a new thing for us to be deploying, right? So I applaud the health department and the folks at Lake Ridge Health.
Well, it's Sheila, it's not just that. In each communities, it's the help that we're getting from the staff. So the staff at Garnet B, the work that the fire chief in Clarington does, Gord Weir, for help not only with the clinic, but he's also looks after fire for the entire region. Mm-hmm. So you know, it is really truly a partnership, and the support from the municipalities has been amazing, because the region doesn't own buildings that we can utilize. We're using arenas and complexes within all the municipalities. So the partnership and the help that we're getting from the staff in those locations is simply amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's 2021's theme, isn't it? About partnership and collaboration. So another question, Chair Henry, is you mentioned the regional support for the hospital and Grandview. Is there a plan at the regional level to support the Charles H. Best expansion project?
So that's an excellent question, and I can tell you that we have a meeting with them. I believe it's this week. So we'll be having those discussions. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I know that the chair of that organization is Gary Polanski, and I know that I have a meeting with Gary and Fred Eismont, who is one of the leaders on that this week. So we'll have to see where it goes. Healthcare is incredibly important to the region, and you know, diabetes is something that is close to my heart, and so we'll see what happens. But it is interesting going forward, and how we can, you know, find a way to support the needs of all of our residents. So
Mhm.
we've invested a lot of money in healthcare this year, and I'm incredibly proud of that. And going forward, it is a huge investment over the next 20 years, and trying to find a way to make it permanent funding and make it sustainable at the same time, trying to make it affordable as well.
Mhm. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. So I have, oh, there is another question in the chat. Sorry. So is there a backup plan to try and keep Amazon in the Durham region?
So Amazon has two sites in Durham now. So there is the old Johnson control plant down in Whitby off of Thixons Road South that is being used as a distribution center as we speak. The new building is under construction in Ajax as we speak. We reached out to Amazon last Friday to have a conversation with them. They're still very interested in Durham region as the eastern gateway into the city of Toronto, and how they can service parts of Eastern Ontario better from Durham than they can from the other side of Toronto. So the conversation is going on. We have talked to the senior leadership from Amazon on Friday, and I know that we're here if they need any support, and we'd be happy to work with them. So they do have a presence in Durham. I'd like to see the presence continue to be here. I'm just not sure where there will be located next.
Okay, great. So I know that the pandemic has had financial impacts on everybody, including our government bodies. So maybe if you could just spend a moment sort of talking about what the financial impact has been to the region, and are there any critical projects that that will have to be delayed uh, or spread out a little bit more that we should be aware of?
So the financial impact to us last year in 2020 was about $46 million. We were very lucky that the province and the federal government were able to fund about half of that loss. So they funded about 23 million, and we were able to find within the organization how we've changed and how we've done things at the region to find the other 23 million. So when we came to budget time, there was no COVID related costs to the budget for 2020. Going forward this year, we do have costs. The vaccine clinics, there'll be costs related to transit. We're still working with the province and the federal government to make sure that they understand the challenges. We do that through not only the mayors and chairs of the GTHA, but I know that the large urban mayors group also does that. We work through AMO. I sit as a director on the board of AMO, so that that's the Association of Municipalities in Ontario, so that the government actually knows what's going on. Here at the region, while we've changed how we do business, we didn't stop doing business. We were able to move 1,600 people to work remotely. We were able to, and they're still working remotely. The region is not, technically, we won't be open till the end of June. It may be longer than that now, considering with the new types of COVID challenges that we're having. But we didn't stop any of the projects. The more work we get out the door, puts people to work, whether it be roads or subdivisions or getting industrial space built. So we were it was very important to us here to continue to move all of that work through our planning department to get it back to the lower tier municipalities so that they can continue to grow their communities. Putting people to work is key to our recovery, and I'm proud of that. Will there be costs this year? Yes. Are we able to manage that? I believe we will be able to do that as long as we continue to get the partnerships from the province and the federal government. And Lindsay's on the line today. The province has been incredible, making sure that we get funding, and we've been able to manage how we do business. You'll never see another regional building built. We'll be able to utilize the technology that we've put in place now to work remotely.
Mhm.
It has been a real amazing. It's really been amazing to watch how we were able to transition an entire organization of some 6,000 people to working remotely, and so that they were safe, and then continue to deliver all of the services we did. We had a little bit of cutback on timing on routes, but we put our on-demand service in place for transit, which really helped. And we've been able to hire the necessary people to manage our 4 long-term care facilities. And then we also have the challenges of managing all of the retirements in an organization of this size. So from our daycare workers to our water treatment plant to our paramedics, police officers, call centers, and everyone in between, it really has changed how we do business. And it was exciting to watch it happen so quickly. If it wasn't for COVID, in order to change what we did here, might have taken a year or 2 years. We were able to make that change in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we certainly all did spin pretty quickly, didn't we, a year ago? So kudos to you and your team. I know that takes a lot of coordination.
Well, thank you, but it's leadership. So Simon Gill from our Economic Development Department has worked with the boards of trades and the chambers of commerce, and it's really been your voice. It's been the information that you've been able to collect through your municipality, through your board of trade, and then flow through to Simon, and we could consolidate all of that information from around the region. And because we're so connected through our MPs, MPPs, and the relationship that we have, the information we were gathering was getting right to where it needed to be at Queen's Park. We're able to do that. And Simon's team, with the work he's done, not only with the downtowns of Durham, but getting businesses to reconnect from doing, coming through the door to doing business online, and the work they've done has been simply amazing. So it comes to a real team effort, and the Clarington Board of Trade's been part of that team.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, John. So we've heard of GTA activities and plans to support the homeless population through these times. What is Durham Region's doing? Sorry, what is Durham Region doing?
Well, we've continued to fund all the programs that were in place before. What we did last summer at Camp Samak for our In and Out program was a great learning experience, and how we've been able to manage and move people from a place where they were being challenged, living on the streets, to a place where they could get help, and we had great success. Our paramedic outreach program is second to none in the province, where we have paramedic partnered with a social worker, who actually they go out into the streets and deal with some of our more vulnerable populations. And that is a really good news story. The other part is, and I'm proud of council, because prior to this year's budget, we had pre-budget approval to hire 3 more additional mental health nurses to work with Durham Regional Police and Lake Ridge Health, so that we could have 24/7, 365 mental health workers on the street to deal with some of the challenges that we were having, which is very different than the challenges we were having 5 or 6 years ago. And mental health has become so much a part of what we do in our day-to-day activity, that we needed to address it. So with the help of council and the pre-budget approval, we were able to do that. We were also very lucky. Council also did pre-budget approval to make sure that we put an actual department together to deal with systemic racism in Durham Region. Where not only did we create the department, we have now hired the person that runs that department. Is her first week was this week, was Allison Hector Alexander. And we will go forward into all of our communities and all of our partnerships. But what was really exciting about this is, not only did we hire people, but council's behind this and we're funding it. So we're walking the walk and we're talking the walk. And this is a great way to come together with our communities to understand the challenges that exist out there and work together in a creative way to continue to make the Durham the greatest place in Canada to live for everyone that lives within our boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how is the repivoting of General Motors and their operations going? What does the future hold for them and the significant land holdings that they have in Oshawa? And can you comment on service employment lands in Clarington? That's a lot of questions in one.
So the great story about General Motors is they're moving along. It was a great story to hear when they decided to reopen the truck and create and build trucks here in Durham Region. And the number of jobs are between 1,500 and 2,000. The demand for pickup trucks is great. Durham has a record of building the best vehicles that General Motors has ever produced, according to J.D. Powers. And that we have things in Durham like our Ontario Tech, where the wind tunnel is located, the new autonomous test track that's open. What's really exciting, not just about the General Motors jobs, but it's all the parts jobs that spin off from that. So the 7-to-1 ratio that they often talk about, relates to, for every auto assembly job, there's 7 other jobs. So that announcement is amazing, and it's exciting for Durham Region to be building trucks again. Of course, the history of the McLaughlin family, from Sleighs to the McLaughlin Buick, is a big part of the history of this country, and I'm glad to see that we're continuing on that. So that's exciting. And if you're going to talk about the auto industry, you need to talk about, Toyota moving into Clarington, but Kubota moving into Pickering. Durham Live, once the pandemic is over, will be one of the largest entertainment complexes in Canada. So the jobs that are being created in Durham Region as we speak is simply amazing. And council did something that's really, really amazing. We actually created an economic development fund for funding lands that need to be serviced in Durham Region. So before, you'd have to come to us and it would take years to do this. Well, now the money's already there. So if we find an opportunity that comes up to where we need to do something very quickly, the funds are already set aside, and that we can react differently than we would have before. So we don't have to go back and find the money in a budget or put it into a budget. That fund has already been created. So that's exciting. It's new, and it will help us drive servicing employment lands throughout the entire region, not just in Clarington.
Yes, we appreciate that, because it wouldn't be Clarington if we didn't end the conversation talking about service land, would it? So, so we appreciate that. I don't see any other questions in the chat, and I think we're done a little bit early. So, so John, I'll give you a chance to just have a final thought, and then maybe we'll wrap up.
So Sheila, thank you and your team and everyone that's on this call today. Durham has always been, it's you don't really hear much about us. We're adjacent to Toronto, and the conversation has always been to the west. But I can tell you the conversation is to the east now. The businesses are looking at Durham Region, not only because we have employment lands, but because Durham is a great place to live. We have a talent pool that is second to none. When you look at Ontario Tech and Durham College and Trent University and what they offer young people is simply amazing. So the light in the tunnel is very bright. Durham's, once we get out of COVID, I believe our best days are ahead of us. It's an exciting time. I want to thank the business community in Clarington and throughout the region for all the work that they've done. It's been a tough time. And, I come from the business world. I had my own companies prior to this job. And I understand the challenges of going to work every day and the struggles that small businesses have. I want to thank you for what you've done, because you've also, not only have you continued to do what you do, the generosity to some of our most challenged organizations within the region still continues. When there's an event, you are there. You fund all of the programs that are out there that your community needs. And for the work that you do is simply amazing. I live in Oshawa, but I'm proud to say that I live in the region of Durham, the new economic engine of the province of Ontario. And once COVID's over, Canada better look out, because we are going to be that voice of business, and we're going to be providing the jobs and places for people to live. And I think it is a perfect time for the region of Durham once COVID's over.
That's great. Thanks, John. So I think on behalf of everybody, I'd like to maybe just wrap up and say thank you again for such an inspiring morning. There certainly was a theme of healthcare, so that's a message, isn't it, for us all, that the importance of our public assets are equally important as some of our more personal items. So let's keep working on those together. If you have the ear of those that make policy, we certainly would like them to know that our small Main Street businesses are ready to keep the economy going in a safe manner. We can do it. We don't need to be we don't need to be locked down in the manner that maybe we have been in the past. We know what to do, and we're willing to do it. So maybe that is the message to the policymakers. And as my final thought on this theme of collaboration and partnership, and that we don't do anything in silos well, is that, you know, when you go away today, think about, it's not about who did what. It's about that we did it together and we will succeed. So continue learning from each other, continue talking to each other, and most importantly, continue listening to one another, and we will go far. With that, I will bid you a happy St. Patty's Day, however you celebrate it. And hopefully our luck moving on from St. Patty's Day is that we get back to some form of normal and we can meet again in person.